You want to walk over and see that?
Yeah.
The one that we found? I just want to show you, John. You'll love this.
Oh, yeah.
See it?
Look.
Look at that.
That was found yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally didn't know we had it.
It was right there.
Yeah, I need to get a before picture anyway. You know?
Yeah. It was right there.
That's just
So they'll, straighten out the base,
really cool.
and then they'll glue it.
I think the way that they glue it and make it stay,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
This is the Old Parish Cemetery. It was originally founded in 1741. This is the original community of people who founded Norwood. Before it was Norwood, they founded South Dedham, and then people who were buried here decided, let's have our own town.
At one time, from Dedham all the way down to the Rhode Island border was the town of Dedham. Gradually, individual towns broke off. Wrentham, Walpole, 1724. And what today we call South Norwood was the heart of South Dedham Village at that time, because that's where all the industry was.
When the current Congregational Church, they were actually the South Parish of the Church of Christ Dedham, and they were founded in 1736. They had their first pastor, Thomas Balch, and by 1741, the congregation decided that they needed a cemetery, their first burial ground. And so a parishioner offered them this land, which was known as Sandy Hill. So they decided to have their burial ground here.
And it was a way to establish yourself, hey, our village has its own cemetery. We don't have to bury our dead up in Dedham any longer. Institutions grew from that. It was the establishment of our own fire brigade that established an identity for South Dedham. Schools was another big issue, that if you wanted to go past elementary, what we call elementary school, you had to go to Dedham for school. Once Norwood got its own high school, again, all these institutions started developing a character for a separate town. And South Dedham evolved to Norwood in 1872. Patty Fanning and I have been friends for 30-some years, and with this mutual interest about history, local history, and world history, etc. She knew I'd retired, called me summer of 2017 and said, I got this idea about the Old Parish Cemetery. She said, I'm thinking about finding a way to care for it. And it was just that vague at that time.
I was at a Walpole Historical Society meeting where a man by the name of Rob Gregg was talking, and he had started a similar organization in Medfield at the Vine Lake Cemetery. And he talked about what they did, that they fixed the stones, that they cleaned the stones, that they made all these discoveries, that they looked into who these people were. And I thought, we could do that at Old Parish Cemetery. We started out certainly thinking small. Let's clean the stones. Let's reset the stones that are crooked. Let's repair the stones that are broken, because we knew that in this day and age, there is not funding to do any kind of restoration or preservation work. Of course, I already had gone and talked to the town, and they were all on board that we would be, just volunteers. So we decided we'd sort of be the friends of the cemetery department in that regard.
Patty, is this Hannah Talbot right here? Yeah. This was our repair from last week. So we glued it together on the board. And today we will place it in its required spot. And we're going to go try and leave the etchings above grade, so we'll go about 22 inches deep. Yeah, we're just about 18 to the soil there, so yeah, 20 inches would be a good depth. We had a very good mentor. He was a great teacher. He came a couple of times and gave us little tutorials on all the things you see us doing now. And that was huge because he'd already worked through the quirks and told us what products to use and things like that. And that's 20 right there.
Okay, we're good.
All right. Did everybody eat their Wheaties this morning?
Oh, yeah.
If we find a piece broken, we can reconnect them and almost kind of glue them back together, reset them that way. So we'll cut an opening for that particular headstone or the footstone, dig deep enough for it. We put it in, we'll eyeball it to make sure that all of the wording can be seen above ground, but that it's deep enough so that it'll be, solid once you put it in there. We then load in what's called stone dust, which is kind of this gravelly gray material. You tamp that in, and then the dirt that you took out, we kind of like try to reuse, obviously, to put that around the stone again, tamp all that down, more dirt, tamp, get it pretty solid, and then resod it, and you move on to the next. Some are quicker jobs because it's not moved by much. Some, I know the guys like to bring in all sorts of tackle and stuff like that, and we move bigger stuff, but most of the headstones are just kind of manual resetting them.
I've said quite often that I think that the trees were actually the fault of a lot of the damage that we see. You get a branch that you don't know about, it falls down during a storm, it breaks the stones. It's just amazing the things that have been grown over in 100 years or more. You find fragments, you find whole stones. So it's a guessing puzzle. This is A, this is B, do they go together? We've found homes for many of them down here already.
Maybe I'll dig it up. I call Patty over to get her all excited.
I hate getting her excited and then having it be a false alarm.
This is no false alarm.
I think this is
Well,
going
this
to
is
be
the biggest, flattest carved rock I've ever seen.
I know. So do you want to try and get that part?
Yeah.
If we get both sides, then we can almost slide it out without disturbing too much of the grass. There we go. Looks like it's broken. This might be there might be more in a different spots. Or maybe it's a piece of one of them. Can you see any carvings? Nope. Patty?
Maybe there's the other piece of it is somewhere in here.
Found
A big chunk of something.
maybe the rest of it's down there.
I
We found
didn't
this.
find it, Susan did.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Let me see.
I don't see anything on it.
What about the other side?
The other side looks like the back.
No, that looks like the top. Well, there's.
Well, there's nothing.
This is
Yeah,
the
no,
top.
it does. It's, yeah. I see
Yeah.
what you mean.
There might be more down there.
Well, that. No, that.
Yeah, just
All right, I'll keep looking in this area and see if there's another part to it. Last week when I found that one from 1777, then I just think about it how long has it been down there underneath all the grass and no one's seen it? And then I think about the person whose gravestone it is. I'm like, they're probably going to be in my corner all week thanking me for, finding their headstone. And it's pretty cool finding things that have been lost for years and years. Literally could have been down there for hundreds of years,
Most of us started out cleaning. I think that was our first, let's just get these things, back to some sort of clean state. So we started basically all of us doing that.
We use a biodegradable product called D2, so it doesn't harm the soil and it doesn't harm the stones either. You wet the stone first with some water, and then you spray the D2 on a light layer, and then you just start scrubbing away. Sometimes we use a little toothbrush to get into the words. Then we'll rinse it off again with more water, and then we may do a second coating of the D2 and leave that on because it actually does its best work over time.
What's nice is when you use the chemicals that they use and it sets over the week and the rain comes in and helps wash them down, and then you come back the next week and it's sunny out, the colors are fantastic of these marbles. From a history standpoint, it's just a true pleasure to work on these stones.
We try and work from the bottom up so that once it's glued, that's hopefully the last process. Generally, we try a dry fit, make sure the pieces line up. Then we determine how good is the base of this stone. Is it level? Is it stable? So that usually starts with the excavation around, getting it level, getting it set. The stone dust is a great material. It just packs really well. And after time, it almost becomes cement-like. So the tighter we can tamp a base of a stone or create a base for something to sit on, the better results we're going to have. We then scrub it with a wire brush, and then we wash it with acetone. And that's just to take off, again, any residual kind of dirt. And then we have this wonderful two-part epoxy. It's called a pop kick. We just mix the epoxy together in a 2-to-1 ratio, get it nice and blended, and just set the stones together. And then sometimes we have to, stabilize them with a clamp or some stakes. Smaller pieces will just stay in position on their own. What's changed from the beginning is we've got a pretty set crew. We've got 4 or 5 good guys that come consistently that, we kind of know each other's moves and limitations. And so that helps, is sort of having that team effect to get things done.
Okay, now put the weight on, see how center we are.
Nick has a lot of experience with masonry and stone products. Great having him on the team, very knowledgeable. He showed up with the math very quickly. 170 pounds a cubic foot. Oh, geez, so who's got a tape measure? So we start doing some calculations, and he's like, that's 250, I don't know. And we'll be like, geez, I don't know either, how many, So we've just got the eyeball on it now that this one we know we can handle, this one we know we can't.
Impressed.
The ladder package.
The hammer is right here. On the left better. Real quick. Mike, the trowel, did you have that?
You want more? I got more.
These are like 2 artisans.
All right, the moment of truth.
There you go.
You want me to stay here?
Yeah. Down.
Down. Look at that, like we know what we're doing.
Yeah, impressed. It is amazing. Unbelievable.
From the wagon, one of the bar clamps, the orange clamp, please.
Is that even? Yeah, my eyes, that's pretty good to me.
No, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do over there.
Oh, it's a small piece. We just found this, piece of an Ellis.
Oh my god.
Piece of an Ellis.
That's what we think.
It's definitely wife of. Nobody ever says husband of.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is this all the Bullards here together? Is there any connection between the Bullards and the Ellises? This seems like it's a corner.
There's always connections.
Do you have any missing pieces of Ellises?
Not yet.
But they
I
may
have
be
to
all
go-
underground.
I have to go look.
Where's the nearest Ellis?
It's a later stone, huh?
But if this is their family, then we'll leave it with Jesse here.
Just in case.
Be a part of this family.
On our normal work days, anybody can wander in and walk. You don't have to come and work. You can come and look. And a family just casually mentioned to me, oh, my husband's great uncle is buried here. And I said, what's the name? And it was Kingsbury. I think he was in the Revolutionary War. They were kind of wondering, do you know where the stone is? I said, yeah, we exactly know where the stone is.
He died in 1788 at the age of 57. And because we've got the medallion for the Revolutionary, that's his.
you know that that's like your great 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 uncle? Yeah.
Like a million grapes.
Yeah, like probably like 12 or 15 of them or something like that.
And there are people who can trace many generations down. They can trace their heritage as somebody buried here. We have a mission of recovering, restoring, respecting, and researching. Well, how do you show respect for a dormant cemetery? What do you do? So there's some very natural things, and they've gone on here for years. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, we're always open for that. Flags are put up, flowers are on the stones of veterans. And then in 2019, we started the tradition of recreating Frederick Douglass's July 4th speech in the cemetery.
We email out, we call them posts, every Saturday morning, which is a biography of someone who's buried here. And then we'll have a picture of the stone, if we know where they lived, a picture of their house. But it gives people, I think, a sense of the community of people. And it lets you sort of contemplate a little bit your own mortality, and everyone wants to be remembered, and everyone likes to have their story told. And I think that's a big piece of at least why I'm here. And you can tell the stories not just of like the, important, quote unquote, people, but everybody who's here, who are the people who actually make a town in a community. So I think that whole sense of community is why a lot of people give their time.
And we're doing work, in this day and age where everything seems to be controversial or divided. It's like nobody can be controversial about us taking care of a cemetery. It's like, who wouldn't be in favor of doing that? And then you think about 1741, this piece of land was set aside, and look, it's now in the middle of a busy Boston suburb, and it's just the same piece of land it was in 1741. I think if people would think of it more as an outdoor museum, where you get to walk through and see artifacts that are well over 200 years old, that play a part in the country's history. If we do nothing else but make this the place that people treasure, we've done everything.
And it's interesting how you drive past cemeteries in other towns and you go, they haven't got it going on.